Chair.
Yeah,
That's
Councillor
started now,
Davis.
Chair.
I got no picture, no camera. So
Okay, don't worry.
I'm in the meeting.
Your
All
hands
right.
up.
Yep.
You can use your hands up if you need to speak.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, members, we are now live streaming. Welcome to the joint scrutiny on the 1st of December. This meeting will be live streamed and a recording made available to view via the Council's website, except for discussions involving confidential or exempt items. Therefore, the images, audio of those individuals speaking will be publicly available to all via the recording on the Council's website. Okay, members. Agenda item 1, to receive apologies for absence. Mark?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, we've received apologies from councillors Bissex, Foster, Cuss, Gare, Jones, Owen, Parry, Phipps and Thomas. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. If there's any more, just let Democratic Services know, please, members. Okay, declarations of interest, item 2. Councillors and officers a reminder of their personal responsibility to declare any personal or prejudicial interest in respect of any item of business on this agenda in accordance with the Local Government Act 2000, the Council's Constitution and the Code of Conduct for both councillors and officers. Is there any declarations, members and officers?
No hands raised, Chair.
No hands. Okay, thank you very much, Mark. Okay, item 3, members, to approve and sign the following minutes. Joint Scrutiny Committee held on the 12th of May 2025. This is for accuracy only, not debate. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Okay, I don't see any hands. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please, members?
Move the minutes, Councillor.
Okay, Councillor Angel. Thank you. Seconder?
Seconded.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ellis. Okay, to the vote, please, Mark. Okay, members, 4 against or abstain if you weren't here. You won't have it.
Sorry, Chair, it's Steve Bazine. I have problems with the voting thing on my system, so I'm voting for.
Okay, thank you.
Same here, Chair. I've got no voting system either, so I'm voting for.
Okay, thank you both. Yvette and Joe.
That's carried, Chair, with 33 votes for, including 2 verbal votes, one from Mr. Bazina and one from Councillor Rayo, and 2 abstentions. That's been carried.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, members, on to the main business. Agenda item 4, organisational performance assessment and members dashboard, doing the basics well, end of year report 24-25. Councillor Leonard Steiner, the Cabinet Member for Finance and Performance, will be moving this. Councillor Steiner.
Thank you, Chair. The organisational performance assessment and members dashboard provide a summary of information and analysis for the period April 24 to March 25. The reports are part of the Council's self-assessment activity. Members are involved in the self-assessment process by scrutinising the information within the organisational performance assessment and the members dashboard. The Council's performance management framework was developed to meet several strategic and operational needs, as well as to meet the duties in the Local Government and Elections Act 2021 and further the Council's desire to become a high-performing learning organisation focused on meeting the needs of its residents. The Council has a duty to keep the performance management framework under review to ensure it remains fit for purpose and meets scrutiny and governance needs. The performance management framework was reviewed in 2024 in preparation for the panel performance assessment that took place in September 2025, with the aim of providing the best possible insight, intelligence and performance perspectives, and also to enable effective monitoring and scrutiny of the Council's performance. Following the review, the organisational performance assessment, which was previously called the corporate performance assessment, has become more streamlined and accessible in order to provide more meaningful performance monitoring and ensure that effective scrutiny can take place. The organisational performance assessment is used by officers and Cabinet to monitor the Council's progress in delivering its strategic priorities, identifying and challenging areas of underperformance, and discussing and agreeing any remedial actions that may be required. As part of the performance management framework review, a new members' dashboard has been introduced. The purpose of this dashboard is to present key information that elected members have identified as essential for scrutiny within the context of joint scrutiny arrangements. The members' dashboard was developed following a survey sent to all elected members and a workshop with chairs and vice chairs of scrutiny. The dashboard is called Doing the Basics Well, reflecting its emphasis on core service delivery and performance. The aim of the report is to provide a picture of performance that will support reflective and challenging conversations and scrutiny that will ultimately lead to learning and further improvement. Members are invited to discuss, challenge and scrutinise the information contained within the reports. Thank you, Chair. You're on mute, Chair.
Okay. Okay, members. I don't see any hands up. Is there any questions on the report?
I have to.
Okay, Councillor Eid, please.
Sorry, Chair, can you hear me? I'm having troubles with my mic and headset at the moment.
Yes, I can hear
Hear me
you. I
now?
can see you.
I didn't want to disappoint you when you said there was no hands up, so I put my hand. I do have some questions. Looking through the report, that the bit on sickness absence quite revealing. I thought we were higher than that, but it's gone down to about 5% on average across
Are
council
you,
departments.
Councillor Eid? Are you on the right
I
one?
am. I'm on the corporate
The
performance
dashboard?
report.
We're on the dashboard.
Well, I don't know. Am I? I thought I was.
Right, go on then.
It's the first report in after the minutes, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes,
sorry.
item 4.
Item 4, yeah. So I was just talking about the dashboard with regard to sickness absence. That seems to have gone down a lot across the whole organisation, around about 2% for short-term sickness. But my query is, over long-term sickness is higher than short-term sickness, which seems a bit strange to me. That's about 5%, whereas short-term is 2%. So I'm just wondering why that would be. And then I've got another question on workforce. I don't know if you want to.
Let me get Lynn Donovan will answer your question there.
Hi, Chair. Thank you very much. Yeah, Councillor Reid, the long-term sickness absence is a larger proportion of the overall absence, as you'll recall from the report that members considered a few weeks ago, because our staff are off long-term more, and long-term is anybody that's off for 20 or more working days. So when you think of the staff that are off for lengthy periods who are really unwell, that is contributing to the long-term sickness.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want another one?
Yeah, if that's okay. Just
Yeah.
looking now on the workforce profile, it's quite worrying, the number of staff who have left the authority in each of the quarters. You know, you're talking hundreds of staff here. I would say the average is about 250. The voluntary ones are by far the most. Now, I understand that includes a range of categories. And related to that is the age profile of staff. There's 25%, again, on average, of staff who are now aged 55 and over, which maybe partially explain the number leaving if they're leaving due to retirements or related reasons. So I suppose what I'm trying to get at is what is the authority doing in terms of replacing these people, succession planning, etc., etc. Because it seems to me we're hemorrhaging staff. We've got a very old age profile of staff who are coming up to retirement, and we need to be future planning and ensuring that we've got, you know, succession plans in place, and we're actively recruiting for specialist staff to replace the ones that are leaving. Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Donovan?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, again, I take members back to the report, the workforce report that was considered a number of weeks ago. You'll recall there was a specific section in there on recruitment and retention. We do have staff leaving, but we have many staff that are joining the authority as well. Members will be aware that we have issues recruiting in some specialist posts, and we're doing specific work with directors. Members will also be aware that we are doing workforce planning with directors to take account of a number of the issues that Councillor Reid talked about. But also one of the things that we do have to bear in mind is that we have to reduce the headcount within the authority. So it's a reduction of a minimum of 600 in addition to the reduction through the transformation programme. So every time we have a vacancy as directors, we all have to consider, do we actually need to fill that post? So just because somebody leaves, it doesn't necessarily mean we will fill that post or fill it with the same post. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councillor Judith Pritchard, please.
Thank you. I'm on financial trends, table 1, page 20. Is that, am I on the right item?
Yeah, better seems, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is the social services underspend. And it's 2.626 million, I think. Now, usually officers tend to like underspends and they don't like overspends. But I'm very concerned about what this means in terms of service pressures and how we actually fulfill our duties, especially to older people. Yeah, I think adult services is a particular problem in social services. So can we have a word on that? Also, Lynn
Ask one at a time. Ask one at a time till we get the answer.
Can I have a? It's sort of related, but can I? Okay,
let's get
can I have
the
another
answer
question
first,
after?
Councillor Pritchard, and then okay. Yeah, Gareth Jenkins, please.
I think Joe is on the call, so could pick up the adult services specific question.
Okay. So Joe's on there as well. Joe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm on now. Sorry, I just jumped in from emergency planning. Judith, currently we are actually forecasting an overspend, not an underspend, since that report has been written. So the position is somewhat different. And we are, as you said, under significant pressure in certain areas of the service now. But we are continuing to provide all services. We are not stopping anything, but unusually we are in an overspend position.
So if I could just come in.
Well, can I come back on that?
Wait a minute, Judith. Gareth
is going to add.
Wait a minute, Judith. Gareth is going to add something, then you can come back in. Okay, Gareth.
Thank you. Just in terms of children's services, we are projecting an underspend in placements, and that is because, as you would be aware, placements can be quite volatile. It moves around a lot, and we've made a saving in a significant placement of a child that was insecure that was costing £28,000 a week. That placement has ended, so that was projected for the year. So that brings along with it a projected underspend. That situation can change quite rapidly, as you will be aware. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councillor Pritchard. Off you go.
Yeah, but surely this is a report on last year. It's not what's happening now. It's what's happened last year. So, you know, the fact that we're doing better, etc., in adult services is not very relevant. I mean, I just want to know what happened to services last year when this report was, well, it wasn't compiled then, but it refers to that. And then I've got a further question later on about telephone contacts, but perhaps somebody can answer that.
Yeah, okay then. To come back on that, Councillor Pritchard, we didn't not provide any service last year. It was provided. So it was just that the demand was different. And as Gareth said, we had overspends in some areas and some termination of expensive placements, people going to continuing healthcare and grant funding coming in at the end of the year, which always impacts on our budgets. So it isn't any different to any other year in that sense. Hope that makes some sense.
Yes, thank you. So the next question is page 22, which is about the telephone contacts. And we seem to think we're doing okay on telephone contacts. Well, I'm afraid to say I don't feel like that at all. My attempts last year and this year at getting hold of officers by ringing customer services is rather poor on the whole. There are some departments that are pretty good. Planning's pretty good, but what I've found is that I've been put through to the number, you know, let's say ASDIT or something or other, and then I'm on hold, and then the phone goes dead. There's no opportunity to leave a message. And now members of the public experiencing that.
You made it yourself, Judith.
So
Judith,
I just want to dispute that. Thank you.
Okay, who's going to answer this? Okay, Catherine, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Pritchard. You will be aware that one of the Cabinet priorities for this year was improving telephony, and you'll see that later on in the reports you got here this evening. But that work has come under the Contact Management Review and Customer Service Standards. So we've been doing some extensive work with officers, as you point out, Councillor Pritchard, to improve the telephone answering standards. We've just rolled out a training package to all staff members with an expectation that they will have on their telephone lines an answer phone service or a voicemail service, and that phones will not go unanswered and they will be diverted either to another officer or to a call group. So hopefully we will start to see some improvements in that. And likewise, we've also run a course recently for elected members on how officers answer and deal with telephone calls, so that officer members have an understanding how they're answered now in a new hybrid working arrangement, particularly through Microsoft Teams. So hopefully we'll start to see some improvement.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next up, Councillor Chashon Dawson, please.
Thanks, Chair. There's a good overview of the finances, but are we planning to have sometimes you get links, you just press on a certain item and it'll bring up another document. So are we planning to have links that from this platform to a more detailed documents, because it's a good overview, but it's not detail. So is that a plan, or is that asking a little bit too much?
Mr. Williams?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thanks, Councillor Chapman Dawson. Obviously, members receive lots of detailed financial reports. You know, recently there was a periodic budget monitoring report that went to, for example, Regeneration Corporate Services Scrutiny Committee. All of the detailed information is in those reports, so you do have access to those reports as members already.
Yeah, that's not what I meant. I meant because we get that details when it's the meeting, but if you wanted to look it up at any point in time, you could go to the dashboard, press on the link, and then bring up that detail whenever you needed it. That's what I'm saying.
So what sort of things would you like on there?
I specifically like there's an overspend. No, there was one of the issues was that there's an overspend, but it was miscellaneous finance. The items were not material in themselves, but added together, they came to 3.222 million and or 32, yeah, I think so. So that's quite a significant amount. And we've got no idea if we could have a link to a more detail to see exactly. I mean, and some of these costs could have been avoided, but we couldn't make any suggestions because we don't know what they are, because they were miscellaneous.
I think that detail was actually in the Regeneration and Corporate Services recent report in terms of miscellaneous finance and what that was made up of.
Right.
I'll bring in Leanne
think
Sykes here. She might be able to, Leanne.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so all the information is provided to the individual scrutiny reports, and we also do the overall cabinet report, which would give you that information. But
Right.
I can certainly work with CAF to see if we are able to give a link to the overall budget position going forward.
Right. And I've got one more question. Well, I've got a few, but I think there's too many.
Ask
What are the
another
main
one then,
reasons
please.
for an overspend in lifelong learning? There's 0.845 million.
Okay, lifelong learning. Who's? Paul. Paul Warren, all yours.
Good evening. Hi there. Good evening, Chair. Yeah, there was an overspend. I think, you'll recognise Councillor Chacon Dawson from Scrutiny that there is, certain pressures around education at the moment, particularly around some of our support for our vulnerable learners. So, I know from conversations we've had in Scrutiny around that, and certainly from my own area, which I work with the EOTAS, there have been an increase in the number of learners requiring EOTAS provision, and that sometimes can be expensive. So, whilst we recognise we've got to get the right provision in place for our learners, we're always looking at ways in which we can be cost effective around that as well, around our strategy. But yeah, it's, the many discussions we've had in Scrutiny around making sure the support is right for these particular group of learners would be a factor in why, sometimes there are overspend.
Can I have another question? Is that all right, Chair?
No, you can add yourself in after.
All right, I'll add
others.
myself to the end then.
Yeah, please. Okay, Councillor Etheridge, please.
Just two quick ones, Gary. First one is succession planning and the transformation. As we've asked for 600 voluntary redundancies or expressions of interest, could Lynn Donovan tell us the number she's received? And the second one is, does she anticipate that we will reach the 600 figure? That's it.
Okay, Lynn.
Thank you, Chair. We're looking at achieving this number through a number of different options. So it's not necessarily about expressions of interest. We are, as I mentioned earlier, looking at vacancy management. So if we've got vacancies, whether we can take those out of structures. We have done an exercise of expressions of interest recently to parts of the workforce. Directors are talking to their staff as well. I'm not sure whether we will achieve that 600, Chair, easily, but we have to make that reduction. So we may have to look at how we provide services going forward, but it's continual work in progress that we're looking at from a number of different angles. We have to reduce our workforce, and as I said, that is the 600 on top of the reductions that were forecast and planned through the transformation programme. So it's constant work in progress through a number of different avenues.
So Lynn can confirm that there will be no compulsory redundancies.
I didn't say that, Councillor Etheridge, and no, I can't confirm that. As I said, we are looking constantly at how we can reduce the workforce, but continue to provide services to the public. And that's what every director is doing. Every director is looking at workforce planning, looking at current teams, future needs, how we can provide services going forward. So no, I didn't say that.
Okay, I apologise, Lynn.
That's okay, Kevin. Okay, Before I bring in the other two, Councillor Dix.
Thank you, Gary. I just wondering with the proposal to reduce the workforce by 600, are we looking at frontline services being affected, like highways, parks, the people who are out out in the county borough doing the actual physical work? Because I think that would be a disaster if we reduce our frontline workforce, and we need to protect that.
Okay, Lynn.
Thank you, Chair. We're looking to protect our frontline workforce as we possibly can. But at the end of the day, our frontline workforce needs to be managed and supervised as well. So we are looking at how we provide our services more efficiently wherever we possibly can. But that decision about services that are provided is a decision for elected members.
Okay, thanks for that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Chair, and apologies for the disruption earlier. Page 47, it's the WHQS 23. We're talking about outsourcing to look at the stock condition. Is there much difference in this new standard from what we've done? Because we spent a huge amount of money on bringing houses up to WHQS not many years back. And now there seems to be a big issue again on updating WHQS. Maybe somebody could enlighten us on that.
Okay, we have Mr. Taylor Williams or Nick will answer.
Thanks, Councillor Mann. Thanks for the question. It is a continuation of the standard, as the way that Welsh Government have articulated it, but there's a fundamental part to it which is updated, which is part 3. Which is decarbonisation and affordable warmth. So looking at fuel poverty through improvements to the energy performance of the home, both looking at decarbonisation generally, because there's a significant amount of carbon footprint across the UK as residential properties, and we've got nearly 11,000 properties that we need to kind of reduce the carbon footprint on. So the fundamental part of that is reviewing the energy performance of each property, and in doing so we need to do an asset survey to work out what Welsh Government call a targeted energy pathway, and that targeted energy pathway then enables us to understand what steps we need to do to get it to first EPCC, which is an energy performance certificate rating C, which you'll all have seen on your own properties and appliances and other things that you have in your home. That's the first target which Welsh Government wants us to try and achieve, and then the holy grail, as I'm calling it, is getting to EPC A, which is almost a kind of net zero position in terms of the energy performance of your property, and we need to model and understand what different technologies, what kind of requirements we would need to update each property on to achieve those ambitions. That can be looking at solar panels, it can be looking at different heat sources, it can be looking at external wall insulation, treble glazed windows, etc. Lots of different energy measures that will be required to meet Welsh Government's targets. So it's a continuation of the existing standard, and then part 3 is the update.
Okay.
Is there any? Can I ask you? Is there any idea of cost on this at all?
We're doing that piece of work at the moment. Sorry, Chair, just to jump in there. We're doing that piece of work at the moment. And it is a piece of work as we go through the condition surveys. We can work out what the targeted energy pathway might be, and then we can look to put costs against that. I don't want to mismanage anyone's expectation by doing that prematurely, but what I would say is it's going to be rather expensive.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Can I have a second one, Chair, while I'm on?
Yeah, go on, one more call.
Okay, it's about the emergency accommodation further down the same page, and obviously it's disappointing, I imagine, to read that this is just not achievable. So what are the prospects of getting this accommodation so that we can actually make some progress on this?
Okay, Nick.
Sorry, Councillor Mann, is that in relation to our temporary
accommodations?
The
rapid rehousing.
The rapid rehousing. Well, the rapid rehousing was because obviously this report is slightly historic now. Rapid rehousing plans of Welsh Government and rapid rehousing strategy was a previous piece of strategy work that Welsh Government putting through, and what is something is the new homelessness bill and homelessness legislation has now superseded that, and we're working through the implications of the new homelessness bill now, and it's working its way through the Senedd, and it's going to be done in a phased approach. Probably not going to be fully implemented until 2027. So we kind of paused on the kind of rapid rehousing kind of approach, and we're now looking at how to implement the new homelessness bill. There's a lot of consultation on it. Some of it has landed in a way that we would not have necessarily advised and didn't advise through the consultation, but Welsh Government are moving ahead with it anyway. It could end up meaning that there is a significant additional workload in terms of delivering the homelessness bill, but we're working through that now and looking at what provisions we might need to address that going forward. So it's Welsh Government slightly changing their tact and bringing in the new homeless bill will change that.
Okay, Diolch. Sometimes wonder whether these things achieve what they set out to achieve, but there we are. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Colin. Okay, Judith.
Yes, it's following up on what Councillor Shackland-Dawson said about links, and Mark Williams's reply that there's a report on this aspect of workforce planning in the corporate and regeneration committee. Does this mean that all councillors are expected to read the agendas of all committees, of all scrutiny committees? Because if so, that's a very big increase in our workload, and I think we should be, we should be informed. Lynn Donovan said something to the same effect. There was a report somewhere, but I wasn't aware that I don't think I've read either of those two reports. So I think this is a thing that we've really got to take into consideration. And the answer to a question to a joint scrutiny really can't be that there was a report going to a scrutiny committee that we weren't on.
Okay, Mark, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, just for clarity, Chair, I didn't mention a workforce report. I was talking about miscellaneous finance.
Yeah, yes, I know. There were two things. There was the workforce, that was Lynn Donovan, and then there was whatever item I raised, which was probably, yes, it probably was miscellaneous finance. Yes, and there was, you mentioned a report there, and I'm not aware of that report. I mean, possibly I should be, but, I don't think most members would be.
Well, Judith, personally, I don't think members are expected to read every report. Members are expected to read the reports of the committee that they're on, but they're not expected to read every report. Unless an officer will tell me different, I believe that is the case. No one's showing, so okay.
Thank
Marina?
you. Yeah, though that does clarify things. So possibly officers shouldn't mention reports that have gone to one committee, one scrutiny, but not others.
But they are mentioning, when someone asks them a question, they have to mention it because it was in some report at some point. This joint scrutiny covers a lot of different ones. So maybe someone within your group who was on that committee could maybe pass on that information that if you'd asked them. Okay, before I go to Marina, Councillor Ingram Jones, you haven't asked one yet.
I'm just going to reiterate what Marina and Judith said, actually, because I'm not on every scrutiny committee. And if these reports are on the dashboard, if something does come up and I want to ask the question, rather than having to go through all the different scrutiny committees on the online to actually find out where this report is, if it's on the dashboard, it's much easier to find. Because, if I'm not on the committee, I wouldn't know about it. Thanks.
Right. Mr. Williams, Mark, would you not say that isn't all the reports on the dashboard anyway?
I mean, the dashboard can be built however we want the dashboard built, but obviously the more, in the past, members complained about the size of directorate performance assessments and the reports that were coming through them being hundreds and hundreds of pages containing lots and lots of detail. So these dashboards are an attempt to simplify that in response to what members said previously. If members are saying they want more and more and more and more and more information, then we can go back to the old directorate performance assessment where there will be hundreds of pages of information, just because to cover every eventuality, particularly in the finance area, as I'm sure Leanne will come in, would be quite a massive task across all directorates.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Leanne?
Yeah, thank you. So the reports, they are all summarised under the cabinet reports as well. So like the latest cabinet report for the monitoring went, the outcome went in June. But like I said, I will work with CAF to see if we could add links to the cabinet reports, because they would give you the overall summary and answer the questions on the detail about why certain areas have overspends and underspends.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay, happy with that there. So I think, if members who's on a committee want to read others, then, we can hopefully make that there easy done. Councillor Walter Williams.
Thank you, Chair. There's an item in the Chief Executive summary mentioned investment in transport, and we have changed our fleet to electric vehicles, and we are struggling a little bit with the budget. How is this mileage tax going to affect the council that the government put on in their budget on Wednesday? Have you got any figures on that, please?
Okay, Mr. Williams. Mark?
That's not something we have crunched numbers on yet. Council obviously is so current. It was only a few days ago. It's a piece of work that we would have to do. And it may well be that councils are exempt, but it's something we'll need to look at.
Yeah. I doubt it,
Okay,
Mark.
thank you.
I doubt it, but okay.
I doubt it as well.
Marina?
Thanks, Chair. It was a question about the EOTAs. There's a table and they're included in the exclusions, but how can they be excluded when they're not in school? I'm confused about that. Could you answer that, please, Paul?
That's okay. Yeah, so if they are in EOTAS, they can still be excluded. So if their behaviour is so high tariff that they can't be in school, then we do utilise exclusions sometimes. And it has to be said that about a year ago, the exclusions for EOTAS were too high. But since the report's been done, it's good that the number of exclusions have come down. But it is something that is occasionally, if the behaviour of pupils is something that would deem an exclusion, it's not a permanent exclusion, because it's about getting the right placement, but sometimes fixed term exclusions are appropriate within the setting.
All right. Can I have another question, or is that out of the question?
Quickly, please.
The gender. How is the gender? How is the gender not shown, but the two genders shown by position or wages paid? Because this would be helpful if we could. Or is there a reason for not showing that?
Oh.
That'd be Lynn, wouldn't it?
Yeah, not one for me,
Lynn, Paul, Lynn.
Sorry, Councillor Chacken Dawson, what exactly are you looking for?
Oh, the gender. The distribution of wages and I didn't put the page number. Where it shows equalities, it is.
I thought you were still on schools there. My fault. Sorry. Lynn?
Yeah.
I was hoping she was, Chair.
No, I'm
are
on
you
about
looking at
because
are you looking at the report, Councillor, the page that is
page?
with the age and gender
Hold on a
makeup of
minute,
staff?
I'm working on one screen here. 2 seconds. It's right at the end of the appendices.
Right. Have a look at that there. Let me go to Greg for a question, then we'll come back to that there. You find
All
out where
right.
it is and Lynn can answer. Greg?
Yeah, thanks. I feel like I'm in a bit of a relay race with Marina and Judith and Nigel here. We're just handing the baton over. How many other questions can I ask?
Come
Bearing in
on,
mind I've come in.
just ask the question and then
All
we'll
right.
see.
All right. Well, I'm on page 44 of the report, Directorate Priorities. The first one under Public Protection, Community and Leisure Services is the only one where there isn't a RAG status, and I just wondered why that was. Well, actually, there's two above it as well, but we'll focus on that one. There's a lot of
Okay,
information.
answer one at a time.
Yeah,
One
go
at
on,
a time
go for
then.
that one then.
Okay, who's going to answer this? Public protection? Mr. Williams, as the senior officer there, can you answer the question? Because none of your team want to.
I'm just trying to find the page a sec. But I think Tim Keohane is on the call as well.
Okay, well, can he identify himself?
It's talking about parks, the bowling green maintenance, and then the fleet transformation as well.
Sorry,
Here, Chair, I'm
Councillor.
just trying to find the page now. If you give me a
44.
second.
Which page do you say it was?
Page 44 of the report, Directorate Priorities. It's the first one under Public Protection, Community and Leisure Services. To support the mobilising team capacity service transformation and place shaping programme, and in particular the service reviews relating to fleet, sport and leisure and parks. I just wonder why there wasn't a RAG status.
I don't know. There should be because and it probably should be green actually.
Right.
Green at worst amber. I think that's just an error.
Just an error. Okay.
Yes, because the stuff around bowling greens is quite well advanced in terms of the transformation program, has been reported on in various Wednesday morning stand-ups at various times. So I think it's an error. I think there should be one in there, and if any, it should probably be green.
No problem. No problem. Can I ask another one?
One more then, please, Craig, because
Yeah,
we
so if
get
you just
Colin
scroll
as well now.
Deal. Thank you, Chair. If you just scroll down to the next page, we're looking under infrastructure this time. The objective is reduction in residual waste. This time, the status is black, which I understand means hasn't yet been started, but I thought reduction in residual waste was a major priority for this council, given the comparison with other councils across Wales. I think we're 18th out of 22. And, the Welsh Government are putting us under a lot of pressure to increase our residual waste. So my question is, why is that black? Why hasn't it been started?
Again, I think that should be amber because it has been started. The pre-sorted at our household recycling centres is in place. Stuff around enforcement is in place. So I think that should be amber.
Okay. Needs to be changed, I guess. Deal.
Okay, let's go to Nigel Dixon, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is one for Nick Taylor Williams, if possible, Chair, regarding the housing, the energy efficiency that he mentioned. Obviously, we have the WHQS, which cost, I believe, several millions of pounds, tens of millions. And that was set against the value of the properties, and that's going to have to be picked up at the council. I was just wondering, with the new energy efficiency legislation coming from the Welsh Assembly Government, who will be paying the bill for that? Will that be added to the council's debt, or would it be added on to rents over years to pay back?
I'll take that, Chair. Yeah, thanks, Councillor Dix. It's going to be a combination. Councillor Dix, we're going to have to look at the speed at which Welsh Government want us to go, and I'm having debates, as all social landlords are, in terms of how quickly they anticipate we can all get there. I mentioned earlier the targeted energy pathway. That's going to dictate how long we think it's going to take us to get there. And one of the defining factors for all social landlords is how much they can afford to do over what timeline. So cost over time. That'll be a combination of rent We're just publishing very recently, soon even, what percentage of rent goes towards maintenance, what percentage of rent goes towards new build, etc., etc. But then, as you'll have seen in the HRA business plan and other documents that we do regularly, that articulates how much borrowing we require over time to deliver all these objectives. Now, there is a potential that means we need to borrow more over time to deliver Welsh Government's objectives, but the whole of the sector are also saying to Welsh Government, if you want us to achieve these, some of the aims and ambitions of that may be shared from a decarbonisation perspective, but if you want us to achieve these, you're going to have to put some subsidy in. You're going to have to help out. And at the moment, we're not clear on what subsidies are available, hence that's raised in the risk within the document. And we continue to talk to Welsh Government about that. I think they've probably kept their powder dry on this until we've done our targeted energy pathway, until we can articulate what it looks like it's going to be. And clearly there's an election brewing, and they'll probably wait until after that, until they see what the budgets might look like going forward. But it's a work in progress, but it's a combination of everything, both rent, both kind of reserves, both borrowing, and hopefully Welsh Government will put their hand in their pocket as well to support it.
Okay, Nick, can you confirm the WH Crest works that we just did, if you would indulge me, Chair, just so I got it clear in my mind. The WH Crest works that we carried out previously, I believe there was the council paid for that.
It was both. So we had some funding from Welsh Government, but not significant amounts linked to our major repairs allowance and other funding. As we've had year on year, we get an average of around 7 million a year major repairs allowance, as all local authorities, stock owning authorities do, and then the large majority of that we had to service through rental income and debt. Okay, so obviously, if we don't get, the less we get from Welsh Government, the more debt we're going to pile on to the housing budget, basically, and rents. Potentially, but that's that time over cost kind of axis, and how flat we need to do that will indicate how much we'd need to borrow over time. If we're forced to do it sooner, then that axis is obviously steeper. Yeah, okay. If you can keep us updated on that, I'd be most interested on that one, because that's going to hit us really hard in borrowing costs, etc., which impacts of a budget. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, and there'll be a significant kind of narrative on that in the HRA business plan that you'll get towards the end of Q4. Okay, thanks, Dan. Nick, appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Mann.
Gotcha. Page 44. Food standards, which unfortunately is on red. It may be a way I'm reading it, but the comment seems to be a little bit contradictory. I mean, food standards is a hugely important issue, as I'm sure we all know. And when the condition of some kitchens in food establishments are found, they say they leave a lot to be desired. But unfortunately, we seem to have lost 3 qualified officers. We're being told that we have got 3 newly qualified, but then at the bottom, we're saying that that falling behind the targets is likely to continue because of new legislation. So again, maybe somebody can shed a bit of light on that one, because I think the last thing we want is to fall behind on inspecting the standards of kitchens that supply food to the public.
Okay, yeah, Tim.
Chair, thank you, Chair. It's true we have lost 3 qualified food standards officers over the last 12 months. Two we lost the posts, and the third has been engaged virtually full time in relation to the move to Civica CX, the database being used in public protection and in housing. And that's put a lot more pressure on us. In addition to that, a lot of the premises that we are behind on are new premises, and our target for visiting new premises is 28 days. Unfortunately, due to volatility in this area, in the food area, you could have some fixed premises over the course of a 12 month. We'll have 4 different businesses there. And these are sort of things that we can't control, but they keep building up in relation to the visits we have to make. The code of practice as well, up until October of this year, so up until last month, was very prescriptive in how we could do our visits. But unfortunately, the Food Standards Agency in Wales and in England have realised that and have given us more flexibility and the ability really to be more focused on our visits. That means that going forward, we should be able to catch up a lot quicker. Slightly different in relation to food hygiene and food safety for colleagues in environmental health. They've had additional pressures in relation to the introduction of licensing regime with tattooing and piercing, and that's taken a lot of their time and taken them away from food standards to licensing. But again, that has now settled down, and going forward, we should be in a far better position.
Okay, thanks, sir. Could I just clarify, Chair? I don't know if I heard correctly. You said 2 of the posts had actually been deleted, Tim. So I assume that 3 officers may be left
correct,
for other
Chair.
jobs.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
correct, Chair. We lost 2 posts.
So we're actually cutting down on what would be regarded as a frontline service by some of it.
Yeah, well, that's the answer. Okay, Councillor England-Jones, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to go back on the warmer homes issue because I saw an announcement, well, I read it actually, an announcement from Welsh Government on the 26th of November. Welsh Government boosting funding for warmer homes. And it says there's an additional 14.1 million to improve energy efficiency and social housing with the optimised retrofit programme, which was already 107.1 million. Is that money on its way to us at the moment? Have we had any notification that we're going to get a share of that?
Nick?
Thanks, Councillor England-Jones. Yes, we fully participate in the ORP, the Optimised Retrofit Programme. We are looking to take our fair share. I think it's circa three, slightly higher than 3 million. We've been getting historically year on year, and we've been using it at targeting some of our worst performing kind of in terms of energy, some of our homes, and we've been targeted as pilots. We've done some of our sheltered stock and improved those to EPC-A, where we've done EWI, we've done solar PV with batteries and triple glazed doors and windows. There's a discussion at the moment whether the ORP will exist in the future. They may just mainstream that and put that as part of our major repairs allowance, and it may be a way of them reducing it. I'm not sure. We actually had the team actually had a meeting with them on it today. But yes, we're fully engaged and we're utilising our ORP funding. We're actually looking at one scheme at the moment, which is looking at whole house insulation, where we're going to have to. We've actually decanting some of the tenants, and we're looking at the ground floor insulation because there's a real issue with rising damp in those properties. So we're cladding it. We're doing the whole 360-degree clad of the property, which is an interesting one, and helping us inform knowledge around how we might do decant as we do the works in terms of having to move tenants into alternative accommodation. So yeah, we're fully on board with the ORP funding.
Okay, thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Did you find that question, Marina, the page?
I thought you'd forgotten about me.
Well, no,
it's
you
page
took your hand
29.
on. You took
Page
your hand
29
on.
it was.
Page 29, okay.
Yeah.
Is Lynn still there? You still there, Lynn?
It shows different ages, but
I am, Chair.
But if I'm just wondering why we don't show gender equality across increments of wages or positions in the organisation. Was that not legal requirement?
Within this report, as Mark said earlier, this is what we put together for you as members.
All right,
based
so for
on
members,
previous
it's
information.
not.
Is certainly something that I can discuss with Mark and with the Chief Exec going forward, Councillor Chacan-Dawson.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, members, Council Eid, you seem to have a lot of questions. Do you want to finish off our last one?
No, I haven't
I
got
take
another
that as a
question.
no then.
Yeah, I think everyone's fed up with my voice. Let's move on.
Okay, no problem. Okay, members, let me see now. Okay, so the recommendations are on page 10 of your packs. 3.1, members are invited to review the OPA and the members dashboard called Doing the Basics Well and discuss, challenge and scrutinise the information contained within, which we've done this evening. So now we're going on to agenda item 5, self-assessment report 24-25, pages 67 to 144. Councillor Elena Stenner, Cabinet Member for Financial Performance. Over
Thank
to
you,
you.
Chair. Thank you. Self-assessment report is a statutory requirement under the Local Government and Elections Act 2021. It is an important part of the Council's performance management framework. The intention of the Local Government and Elections Act is for councils to be proactive in keeping their performance under review and to consider whether organisational processes and procedures are as effective as they could be or whether they could be improved to drive better outcomes. Under the Act, we have duty to keep performance under review and the extent to which we are fulfilling those performance requirements, which are exercising our functions effectively, using our resources economically, efficiently and effectively, have effective governance in place for securing the above. The Council is required to assess its own performance and provide the public with a balanced picture of that performance. The self-assessment report considers how well the Council has operated throughout the financial year 24-25. The report is structured around a range of corporate functions, a robust and thorough internal review of activity, and impact is undertaken across these areas to form a summary judgment using the scale as outlined in paragraph 5.9. A number of additional health checks are also undertaken to provide further insight and assurance, and members are invited to review the self-assessment report at Appendix 1, raise questions and comment upon the content prior to consideration by Cabinet on the 10th of December and subsequent publication on the Council's website. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, members, open to you all. Okay, Councillor Dawson, please. Marina.
I've only got one question.
Oh, I'm sure everyone's happy to hear that.
About one of the priorities. Most of them are self-explanatory, but one of the priorities is to get more people back in buildings, building buildings, or more often. And I just like to understand that further, if that's possible, because it doesn't explain it very in the assessment. It doesn't explain it, so I'd like to understand it more. Because how does it benefit people, customers, and residents? Don't know who's going to answer that.
You're muted, Colin. Yeah.
Okay. Can you clarify, Councillor Chapman-Dawson, exactly which text, where the text is that you're looking at, so I can just...
It's one of the 5 priorities. Number 4 it is. Getting more people.
Which page are you on?
It'll be right at the beginning.
You in the report or in the appendix?
In self. It must be.
It's page 86, I believe, Marina.
Is it? Oh, thank you, Brenda. Councillor Miles. Yeah, page 86.
Scrolling down to it, bear with me. Look, I think the benefit of getting staff back into buildings is to obviously build up that team ethos. You know, there's lots of things that staff miss. If you're stuck in the house on your own all day, every day, you miss those conversations over a cup of coffee, conversations on the landing, knowing what everyone else is doing, knowing what pressure they're under. So they you know, teams work much better when they can get together, at least maybe not every day, not 5 days a week, but at least some of the week. And you know, then that knocks on into the way services delivered better to the public. So there's certainly a link between staff working well as teams and service delivery to the public. So that's why that is in there.
Right, that's brilliant. Thanks for explaining that. It's just that they're not explained. That part of it's not explained, and most of them are self-explanatory, but that doesn't appear self-explanatory. All right, thank you.
Councillor Dix.
Thank you, Gary. A bit of a pregnant pause there, mate. I thought what was happening.
No, it was me, it was.
You're right, mate. I'd just like to thank the officer, Mr. Williams, for his encouraging words about getting staff back into the office, because I totally agree with anything you're saying there. It does build a team ethos. If miss it working at home, you do miss out on stuff that you might need to know, and I believe that it will result in a better service for councillors when we need the help of officers, and for the public who we all serve. So I thank him for that reassurance. Thank you.
Good. Oh, I agree. It is good to be in the chamber as well. I was at the last council meeting, and it was good to be there. Okay, Councillor Ingrid Jones.
I just wanted to clarify, actually, because I thought we were under the impression hybrid working was good for the environment, less travelling to work, that sort of thing. And I thought that all staff were undertaking hybrid working, a bit of both. And also, we've got to think, we've got staff going out to the hubs as well. So it's not just that they're in the office, they're working from hubs now in the new models. So, and would we get everybody in T Penalta at one time? You know, it's not really clear what was meant by that. Thanks.
Well, I think it's a bit of everything anyway, isn't it? You know.
Absolutely, Chair. Absolutely. So it isn't
not
about
getting everybody back into the office then, obviously.
No,
it's not about getting everyone to T Penalta all together at the same time and filling the building. It's about people. It's about working in a hybrid way. But to work effectively, you do need office touchdown time as well. Whether that office is T Penalta, whether that office is, you know, the hub in Rumney, wherever that office is, it doesn't necessarily need to be T Penalta.
So can I ask, and haven't staff been doing that then? Have there been some staff working from home all the time?
No, most staff now do hybrid working.
You know, today was a fine example. You know, bad weather. The chief executive looked at the bad weather, took a decision, said, can we go to hybrid? You know, can we go, you know, it was ideal. So no one's being put at risk by travelling to the council for no reason. Okay, Councillor Etheridge.
Gary, in order to be helpful, and I'm always helpful.
Of course you are, Kevin.
Can I ask Mark, isn't it in the legislation from the Welsh Government that people can work hybrid and work from home? I'm sure I've read it somewhere.
It is. I believe it is, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but
it is
what we do. Hybrid is a bit of both. Hybrid is working from home and bit from office. That's why you call it hybrid. Mark, am I right?
Yeah,
Kevin right?
You're spot on, Chair. I'm not quite sure where Councillor Etheridge is going with that comment or question, because I'm not saying that everyone has to be in the office 5 days a week, 8:30 till 5. I'm saying that we work in a hybrid way. And
where I'm going, Mark, is I was trying to be helpful to you to say that it's in the legislation that people can work, you know, from home if they want to.
But that's never been disputed, Councillor Etheridge, and that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, we have a bit of both. We have a bit of both.
That's fine.
Because
Yeah, it's fine.
out of, and yeah, if Lindsay was here now, if Lindsay Whittle was there, he would be saying, we need people coming in because number one, if you're not meeting people, your mental health can be just as bad then, you know, so hybrid is good. I think we're all in agreement with that there.
Exactly,
Councillor
yeah.
Jones, again.
Sorry, there's still no clarity because why is that number 4 in there if it's already happening? So why is that one of the targets sort of thing if it's already happening anyway?
Because they want to have more.
Okay, that's a fella. Mark, do you want to answer why is it in there when we're already doing it and we know what the legislation is? We're following it.
Again, Chair, we're looking at something that is over. You know, we're talking a report about the year before the existing one. So you know, it is in there because it's historical, and you know we are seeing many more people now using touchstone space in the office much more. I'm really struggling as to why this is such a big issue because it's working quite well.
Agree. Right, Councillor Eade. Hopefully it's nothing to do with agile working.
My apologies in advance. It is. I just want to end this debate a little bit from what Councillor Etheridge said about it being in the legislation. If it is, what about the frontline workers, for example, highways maintenance staff, park staff who don't have an office and have no reason to be in the office? How would hybrid working apply to them? You know, because they potentially are missing out on the option of hybrid working if their job role means that they're out and about, you know, all day, every day.
So would you say to a surgeon that he can do it? I know in certain parts of the world they can, but most surgeons have to get into an operating theatre to do the things. You can't offer them hybrid working. You know, there's some jobs you can do hybrid and some you can't.
Yeah, I use the example of a lifeguard, Chair. You can't be a lifeguard in the house, can you? You can only be a lifeguard on the side of a swimming pool. So there are certain jobs where hybrid working is not possible. You can only collect refuse behind a refuse vehicle in a street. Can't collect it from your house. So there will be people that don't have the opportunity to work in that way. And unfortunately, that's life and that's linked to the job they've chosen to do.
Yeah, well done. Okay. Lynn, do you want to come in and add a bit more? Because
yeah, Chair, if it helps, we have policies for agile working, flexible working, but we are all recognising there are some services that cannot do that. In a care home, you have to provide services to those residents 24 hours, 7 days a week. So staff, trade unions, we're all fully aware of that. And whilst we can work in a hybrid way, the policies that we have are all about service needs. So we have to make sure our services are provided in the best way possible, wherever that may be from. And that sits at the heart of everything that we do. And that always has to come first. And that's what drives where we all work from and how we all work. If I can go back, Chair, to the reason that that priority is in there, I don't want to speak for the Chief Exec, but I believe that that is one of the priorities that he has given to members as a result of many conversations that members had with him and many issues that were raised by members to him. So I think that was something that the Chief Exec has committed to, that as a leadership team we're all committed to as well. And for the reasons that Mark, yourself and others have said, it is certainly in the interest of staff to do that.
Thank you. And that our scrutiny, we bring it up quite often, as you're aware, Lynn. Councillor Dix.
Make this the last question.
So maybe I could bring a bit of clarity to this discussion. An email I received from the Chief Executive last week asking about this very question. The average Monday to Friday attendance at T Penalty across the full 6-month period, October, has risen to 60%, with the highest month, hang on, something just popped up, with the highest monthly improvement being July 24th to July 25th, which saw a 6% increase in the average attendance from 56% to 62%. We regularly seek midweek attendance north of 70%, up from the low mid 60% for the same period last year. And that's what I had off the chief executive last week. If anybody wants a copy of it, I'm happy to send it out to everybody.
So, and as they're saying, they are, encouraging people to pop in and see, because your mental health is important as well as, everything else. So going in and meeting the team, exactly what Mark has said.
I
So thank
believe
you for
every word
clarifying
Nigel
that,
Albert
Nigel.
tells me.
There you are, Gary. I'll just send it over to you.
You're a gentleman.
I am a gentleman.
And unfortunately, I can't look at it now. Oh, there it comes up now. Thank you.
Okay, so if anybody wants it, you've got it, Gary. You can send it off to him, yeah?
Yeah, okay,
Thanks,
no
mate.
problem. Okay then, members. There's no other things. So the recommendations are on page 10 of your packs. Members are invited. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. Recommendations are on page 68 of your packs. 3.1, to review the report appendix 1, raise any questions or comment upon the content prior to consideration by the cabinet on the 10th of December. We will make cabinet aware of all the comments to do with the hybrid working, and I'm sure that as some of them here, they can take it back for us anyway. Okay. Our last item tonight is item 6, the Wellbeing Objectives Report. Let me just check. Yeah, the Wellbeing Report 24-25, pages 145 to 186. And again, Councillor Leonard Stenner, the Cabinet Member for Finance and Performance.
Thank you again, Chair. The Wellbeing of Future Generations Act requires all public bodies to set wellbeing objectives to improve the social, economic and environmental wellbeing of their area and report on the progress they have made in meeting their wellbeing objectives for the preceding financial year. This report presents the annual Wellbeing Objectives Report at Appendix 1, outlining the progress made by the Council in achieving its 5 wellbeing objectives for the financial year 24-25. These objectives are contained within the Corporate Plan 23 to 28. Each objective is underpinned by several outcomes, a chosen set of priority measures and a range of steps. To enable a judgment of success, each objective has been given summary judgment based on progress made during 24-25 using the scale as outlined in paragraph 5.5. The Wellbeing Objective Report for 24-25 provides a platform to celebrate activity that has gone well, to reflect on the areas that need to be improved and to identify new approaches and interventions to support future progress of wellbeing objectives contained within the Corporate Plan 23 to 28. Members are invited to review the report at Appendix 1, raise any questions and comment upon the content prior to consideration by Cabinet on the 10th of December and subsequent publication on the Council's website. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, members, open for debate. Councillor Dawson again, please.
Just a quick question. I didn't have as much. I couldn't dedicate as much time to this part of the report, but there's I wouldn't call it a contradiction, but on page 4 it says exemplary behaviour amongst nearly all learners, and yet further along it talks about the high number of and the necessity to reduce numbers of exclusions, and those two things don't tally.
Paul, are you? I take it, yeah, Paul.
Thank you for the question. So in compiling the evidence for the report, we looked at a range of evidence. So this would be feedback from school partners, from local authority officers, from accurate self-evaluation. But we also look at the reports that we get from Estin. And, we know that there's been an awful lot of Estin inspections in Caerphilly over the last few years, especially in the run-up to our Estin inspection. So to create a summary in terms of what these reports are telling us, that overall behaviour is excellent. We've got some really good examples of, schools working really hard to improve behaviour. And on the whole, despite very challenging circumstances, the behaviour policy, the behaviour management policies in schools are really effective. Having said that, we recognise that there are still a number of exclusions that we've got to address, and alongside attendance and exclusions remains a real kind of priority for improvement that we've got to. So although behaviour on the whole is very good, there are still, the number of pupils that are still being excluded we've got to address. One of the, we've engaged with head teachers to review and reinvigorate our strategy to reduce exclusions, to really kind of understand, what is life like in school for these learners that end up being excluded. And you'll be aware that we've also got a revised school improvement service where there was a regional approach, and now we are looking at some of those services have come more in-house to see what we can do. So where there has been an increased partnership working with head teachers, where we are giving them more responsibility and autonomy to work with each other, we think that will go a long way towards really understanding ways that we can reduce exclusions across all our schools. So as well as having kind of the expertise and the support from the local authority, more opportunities for head teachers across Caerphilly to work with each other to really kind of bring these exclusions down, because there is some really good practice going on across our schools.
Can I don't know if this is the right place to bring it up, but the estimate figures, are they're just done on a week that they're there, but do they get to look out at any records of figures across the year? Because how can they tell just from a week?
So we always, so what we do, we are always very transparent with Estin about our data, attendance and exclusions, and we have termly visits from our local authority link inspector, and we always share the data because we feel there's no point in hiding anything from Estin. We work with them to get the best outcomes for learners, so there's always transparency, and we get challenged by Estin on that data as well.
It's better to have a truer picture than if there's any issues, then they can be dealt with. There's no point hiding it, is there?
Agreed.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't see any other hands up. Okay, so recommendations are on page 145 of your packs. 3.1, to review the report appendix 1, raise any questions or comment upon the content prior to consideration by Cabinet on the 10th of December. Comments made this evening will be passed via the author. Not many on this report, but others have been good. Okay, members, that is us finished for tonight. This is my last scrutiny before Christmas, so let me wish you all a Merry Christmas, members and officers, and
Merry Christmas.
have a nice evening.
Merry
And
Christmas.
let's hope the rain stops soon.
Happy
No
Christmas.
stop.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas, Gary.
That's nice, Jay. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Chair.